What's going on, people? I got to tell you guys about this real trippy dream I had the night before last and last night. It was like last night was a continuation of the dream I had night before last. Now, the dream I had last night, I can't really quite remember everything, but I do remember some key pieces to the dream. The dream I had night before last, I traveled back in time. I'm not sure what year I was in, but I was back in time and I had visited a church that I used to attend. And I ran into the people that was attending that church at the time, many of which have deceased already. They have already died. And so I was like a stranger visiting this church. So I was talking to the people, and once I felt comfortable with certain ones and they felt comfortable with me, I said to this one young lady, I said, I'm going to say something that's real trippy. You guys are going to think I'm bugging. You're going to think I'm crazy. But there's a reason why I'm telling you this. I said, I'm from the year 2021. I'm from the future. And their face expression changed like, what? This dude is crazy, right? And I said, and like one of them didn't believe me, so I said, well, you know what? I said, your name is such and such. And she looked at me, I said, I know your family name is this your mother, this your father, I know your whole family. And they're looking at me like I'm crazy, and I said, and this is who you are. And I started telling them. And I said, listen, I said, in the coming years, if you meet someone by the name of, and I gave them my name, I said, that's me. One day you will meet this person. And they were just like, just completely bugging because here it is. I'm like time traveling. And it even felt like I was time traveling. I mean, everything was in line perfectly with time traveling. It did not even feel like a dream. It felt like I was actually there. And so on my way out of this church, I saw this one woman that I knew. She was sitting on one of the pews. It was like toward the wall. And I said, her name is Karen. I'm not going to give her last name, but I said, see you later, Karen. And she looked up at me, right? And I stopped and I said, oh, and say hello to your mother and your father and the rest of your family for me. And I said, see you later, Mrs. And then I gave her last name. And they were just looking completely in awe because you have this strange man walking in saying that he was from the year 2021 and telling them about them, even telling them their name. These are people. Oh, and this one woman walked by me, and I was telling this one lady, I said, watch this. And the woman walked right by me because she didn't know me, right? Because they had not yet met me. And I said, watch this. And so when the woman walked by, I said, how you doing? And I called her by her first name. And so she went inside. I said, watch this. And then she turned around. She came back out. She said, excuse me. She says, I don't know you, and you seem to know me, right? Who are you? And then I started telling her about who she was. And I told her I was from the year 2021. So I was completely aware of what year I came from, right? And it was just great. And another thing too, another part of that dream before I actually went to that church was that I also met Floyd Mayweather in my dream before he became famous. Before he became money-making Floyd Mayweather, I met Floyd Mayweather. And it was him and like two other dudes that were just training. These two dudes were training and Floyd was kind of helping them out. And so I walked in there and I was like hitting the bag. And so he came up and he was correcting my hook of my uppercut, right? And he was showing me how to do it. So I put on gloves, but it was weird because the gloves were mixed match. They weren't the same glove. And he like tied my gloves and whatnot, right? And but I didn't. They didn't know that I had already knew how to box, so I was playing the role like I didn't know anything about boxing. So after he tied my gloves and I worked the bag a little bit, then I told him I used to be into the arts and before I went in the military, XYZ. Then the dream switched to when I was in this church, visiting these people that I once knew before they actually met me. So fast forward to last night. Had a dream last night that I was actually traveling in a spacecraft. Now, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I'm not high. I didn't eat anything before I went to bed, but I was in the spacecraft. But the spacecraft wasn't closed in. It was like, you know how someone is on a boat, they're going out boating, and they kind of like steering the boat and whatnot, but the sky is, that's how it was. It was like it was open-ended spacecraft, and we were just going through the galaxy, but yet we were caught up in a lot of, what do you call it? Like, it was like a storm where you have fragments of the universe just floating. I forgot what it's called, just floating throughout the universe. So we were somewhat caught up in it. I'm going to call it a storm, although it's not really called a storm, but I was just caught up, like with these asteroids just, so it's like a lot of confusion. So, we're going through this and I'm traveling through the universe. Then we ended up on this planet, which now I know is not Earth. It's not Earth. And one of the 3 people I was with had family members at this place. So they said, well, my family member's got a car. I'm going to go get his car. And I'm like, okay. So we went there. She got her family member's vehicle. But the vehicle was unlike any vehicle I had ever seen. It was small. It was a small vehicle. But it was, it looked foreign. But at the same time, it looked like it was something that didn't even exist on this planet. And it was like a Pinto. It was somewhat like it was about the size of a Pinto, but it didn't look like, it was like a space type of vehicle. So we got in this car, we rode to this place. It was like the store. It was on the street, and the neighborhood was like no other place that I'd been to. So it wasn't on this plane. And we got off, and like my son, it was like my son was with me, and he came and handed me this money, right? And I'm like, what is this? And he says, just for you, right? So I'm like, I like my money in order. So I'm like putting the bills in order. But when I looked across the street, there was another dude standing across the street diagonally from me, and he was counting money, right? So it was almost like a mirror image of me, but yet the dude wasn't me. So I had taken the money, I balled it up, and I put it in my pockets. And so I'm wondering if that image of that person across from me was a parallel universe. If I ended up in some type of parallel universe. And in this dream, I even had the knowledge of time traveling back in time, speaking with those people that I once knew, which many of them had passed away, and letting them know that I was from the future. So in this dream, the one I had last night, I was aware of traveling back in time. So what do you guys, and there's a lot to this dream, there's much more to this dream, but I can't remember all of it. I remember bits and pieces. Another thing I noticed in the dream I had last night, or better yet, the one I had night before last, no, the one I had last night, was that I was walking in this area. It's like a field. It's like in the back of some buildings or whatnot. I was cutting through these buildings, and there was like mud and rocks and stuff like that. Me and these people I was with, and I saw what looked like to be an animal. It was a strange being, man. It wasn't a dog, but it was acting like a dog, right? And the person in one of these apartments owned this animal. and the animal was just like happy-go-lucky, just like a dog would, right? So when the dog came up to me, like then it transformed into a dog, like I know, like I see a dog, that's a dog. It was no longer that strange creature that I saw. It was an actual dog, and the dog was playful, and I was playing with this dog. But I only played with the dog because, I didn't trust the dog. I didn't know if the dog was going to try to bite me or whatever. So I'm like just playing with the dog and throwing the stick, and I threw the stick hoping the dog would chase the stick to get away from me. So, but anyway, then I ended up back on this spacecraft and was going just through the universe. It was like a lot of turbulence and stuff like that, and I could still see it just clear as day how it looked. And then I ended up in this place, an entirely different universe, right? That was like Earth, but it wasn't Earth. And so, what do you guys think of that? That was really, but me going back in time, it was a good feeling, and it was trippy. It was real trippy because in this dream, or whatever it was, this experience or this travel, it felt good. It felt good going back in time because the whole atmosphere was different than the atmosphere we're living in now. The people were different. And it was weird because I knew these people in 2021, but they didn't know me, right? We had never met before. And I knew everything about them, and they knew nothing about me. So I'm sitting there talking to them. We getting along. And then I told them, I said, I'm about to trip you out. I said, it's going to be real trippy what I'm about to say. You guys are going to think I'm crazy. I said, but I'm not crazy. Just listen carefully. And I told them, I'm from the future. Right? And they're looking like, what? I said, I'm from the year 2021. Now, keep in mind, 2021 didn't even exist then. I said, I'm from the year 2021. And I started telling them about who they are and how I knew them. Right? I didn't give them any real details, but I just kind of identified them to let them know I know you, and I know your family. So what do you guys think about that? Think I time travel? Feedback and tell me what you think. Subscribe. Click on the Cash App. Donate to the channel. Till next time. Peace.